Financial independence isn't one size fits all. These are the 3 mindset shifts I would use if I was starting over to retire early again. $1 million, $700,000, $3 million. Financial independence isn't about reaching somebody else's number. It is about creating enough financial freedom for you and designing a life that actually makes you happy. Sometimes it's a difficult video to make because what makes me happy won't make you happy. The things that are important to me might not be important to you. The way that I live might not be the way you want to live. The ways that we want to live can change over time. The way I wanted to live in retirement in my 20s is very different than the way I want to retire in my 40s. Shift number 1, stop asking, how fast can I retire? And ask, what am I retiring to? It's easy to become obsessed with net worth and savings rates, investment returns, hitting your number at a certain age, the exact number that you have in your mind, and comparing myself to other people I see online. But when I was growing up, it was MTV Cribs. So the question I want you to ask in this is, what happens when I actually get there? Go ahead and play the tape forward. If you spend 15 years optimizing your finances, you want to know in 15 years what your day-to-day life is going to look like. I think the goal of escaping work is so great, but it just isn't enough when you're actually there. For the people out there who genuinely love their career and are pursuing FI, what do you think it's going to look like when you're there? Are you going to work 3 days a week? Are you going to start a consulting firm? What would be your ideal day-to-day? What amount of work would you want to be doing? Would you be volunteering all of the time? Would you be still working for money? Is Coast Fire enough? Some people may hate their jobs and want complete freedom. Some people just want to travel and figure that one out. And maybe they want to use points, or maybe they don't want to use points. Maybe they want to travel in expensive countries half the year and less expensive countries the other half, or some combination. Some people might just want to stay home with their kids or grandkids. And then some people might even want to start the dream business, whether it makes a lot of money or not. Hello, YouTube. There's no one correct vision of financial independence for you. Number 2 is stop copying somebody else's number. I have Googled people similar to me to try to get as close as possible to the FIRE version of myself. And while this framework is helpful, and all the books on FIRE, Your Money or Your Life, or reading Mr. Money Mustache, his blog, or anything like that is helpful and it is inspirational. Even some of the people I love the most, Morgan Housel being one of them, I don't always 100% agree with what they're saying, but it doesn't mean I can't take what I want and leave the rest. I thought there was a universal formula for FIRE that once I hit $2 million or $1 million, that I was going to magically wake up that day and think, I've made it, I know exactly what to do, and that's not the case. I was hiking with some friends yesterday, and all 3 of us are retired early, and both of them are still working, and we have very different ideas about what we want our lives to look like on a day-to-day basis, and we're all in our 40s, we all have kids, and we are very different, even though we have a lot in common. Looking at your Social Security in the future is super helpful. Whether you have children or not will often change this. Knowing yourself and taking the time to go through some self-help type books has been helpful for me. I often talk about the book called The Financial Wisdom of Ebenezer Scrooge, and this helped reset my financial limitations from my family of origin. When you're growing up, there are implicit, unspoken, and explicit spoken statements about finances and money that you got from your closest relatives. Maybe that's your parents, maybe it's your aunt and uncle, or your grandparents, or your cousins, or just family, or maybe just your friends. But you were picking up things about money along the way, and some of them were said outright, and a lot of them were said without saying it. There were money rules in your household, like people with money are bad people. Some of the money scripts that go through our mind, whether consciously or subconsciously, that we do need to deal with. One of the biggest shifts I've had lately is that having the lived experience of spending money on frivolous things and finding it wanting and realizing it just didn't make me any happier, and decluttering and getting back into minimalism and getting rid of tons of junk, and then shopping at thrift stores versus buying new. I've analyzed many different ways of spending, and there's just not one The point is, your financial independence should fit your life and not the other way around. Not how much money do I need to become a millionaire, but how much money do I need to create the life I actually want, and how do I build in some safeguards in case my life changes. Okay, and the third and probably biggest mindset shift that has happened for me is to stop treating happiness as something that's going to be happening in the future, i.e., after I reach fire. A lot of people unconsciously create this bargain with themselves of saying, I'll be happy when I am not working anymore. And a lot of times the finish line can just seem to keep moving. Financial independence for me has always been about freedom. Ever since I was a little kid, I never had a specific career track. I think sometimes financial independence is for the people who are more generalist in life. I have always been sort of this jack of all trades, ace of none. I've wanted to do everything, see everything, buy everything at some point in life. I don't want that anymore. But financial independence has given me the ability to live well today. And I have been unhappy in independence, and I have been very happy in financial independence. And I really do believe that happiness and money are completely separate topics and issues, and that you can have one and not have the other. If you're experiencing hardship due to lack of money, money and happiness do correlate up to a point. After a certain point, the returns on happiness don't increase with the amount of money that you're receiving. Financial independence for me has ebbed and flowed because I've put too high of restrictions on myself. I've done low buys and no buys and failed miserably and beat myself up and thought like I'm such a bad person. And I had some old money scripts still coming in. And I really do believe that our family of origin does dictate a lot of how we end up living, and some of its nature and some of its nurture. But I absolutely 100% believe that happiness should come first, and then money, the idea behind money, should come second. And recently I've been thinking about going back to work. In fact, I got a call back for an interview on one of the jobs I applied to yesterday. And I realized I applied to the 12-month position instead of the 10-month position with the Department of Education, meaning that I would not have the same schedule as my kids, and I would have to find coverage for winter break, summer. And it's a great job, and I fit the qualifications, and it's great money. And it's not worth it to me because one of the main reasons I wanted to retire early was to spend more time with my kids. I had a precious morning with my children. We got to snuggle in bed, and I made their breakfast and their lunch, and we got off to school, and we read our books in the car, and we talked. And I just had low stress. And that's why I did this. Lately, after my divorce and the last 4 years that I've been retired early, I have thought long and hard. I have thought about what makes me really happy, and I have been questioning my desire for things, purchases. And I've found that when I think back about my happiest moments, many of them were challenges, like starting a YouTube channel, learning about this camera, learning about how to upload properly, learning about how to create a video that's actually interesting, because I have made tons that have had 10 views, and I get it. But I would say that time with my children, creating art, and my hobbies, times that I was in nature, often with family or friends that I love, times in nature by myself. I used to be a marathon runner, and I do think back fondly on all of the exercise I've done. Not all of it was done happily, but I used to have this mantra when I was running that, especially when I first got sober, when I was 24 and I started running, sometimes the only victory I would have in a day was staying sober and finishing a 3-mile run. And for whatever reason, I still have this mantra of victory, victory, victory whenever I'm running or I'm exercising, meaning I'm gonna feel so good about myself and I'm gonna feel proud of myself once I'm done with this. Intentional travel. I was talking with my partner yesterday about our vacation to Texas when we took the kids to Schlitterbahn, and some funny moments that happened. And it was also stressful. Traveling with kids is stressful, and it was a long flight from Hawaii to Texas and back for just a week. But I got to see my family. I had some great times with my family at my uncle's ranch, and we played cards, and it was just nice. I'm not gonna lie, though I do have to wake up early for the weeks the kids are in school. When I get to wake up whenever I want, take a nap, go for a walk, go to the grocery store, even though I have a set amount of income, time freedom is the most precious thing to me. And I know I made the right choice. I hope that if you got something from this, that you will consider liking and subscribing. I am a new creator, and I think that nobody gets upset with people for making money when they are contributing something. And that's what I want this channel to be about. I see a lot of financial independence comments being like, well, if you're retired early, why do you want to monetize on YouTube? I think it would make me feel proud. I monetized on TikTok a while back, and I don't do short form video on my phone anymore. So I've started making these long form videos to really get into the nitty gritty, because I love talking about financial independence, and I want those of you out there who are interested in this to get something from these videos and to see that it is possible, we can do this, and that life is pretty dang good. I went hiking yesterday with two of my friends who are retired early, and to be able to go hiking on a Monday, we were joking about it, and then we got to splash around in a waterfall and joke and have fun. And I love hanging out with them because our nervous systems are pretty well regulated. And yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more. And also our goals change. I retired early, but I did get divorced, and there's a set amount. I would love to make more money. I would love to buy more investment property. I would love to put a hot tub in sooner rather than later at my Airbnb. There's still things I want to do with my life. Mr. Money Mustache always says, work is always better when you don't need the money. I'm pretty content whether it happens or not. I can feel content almost 90% of the time and not need a single thing, and just be grateful for the fact that I have electricity and a roof over my head and a warm bed to sleep in at night, and someone that loves me, and that I have a good relationship with my children. Those things, even saying them out loud, fills me up with so much joy. But there's that 10% of being human that wants to create, that wants to say like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you monetized on YouTube? Like, I think for me, it's just a goal that I would really love to achieve, and I'm sharing that with you now. So if you're still here, awesome. Yeah, I'm Lauren Teresa, former trauma therapist, mom of two, happily retired in Hawaii, so a very expensive place, which is another reason you can do this. And I knew that. I knew that I wanted to live in Hawaii before I got on my FI track. So I did factor the cost of living into my early retirement. I was hanging out with my friends yesterday and listening to their early retirement goals and progress and what they use as their vehicle. One of my friends has a business that he's automated. The other one is a real estate agent, and she just does bond investing. And then there's me, and I have a real estate property, and I invest in the stock market here and there. So we have very different strategies for how our best life in early retirement should be lived. And I love hearing what's best for them, but I'm also extremely grounded in knowing that I am not them. And that has been a gift that has come to me over this last year. And so my hope for you is to find what it is for you that works for you. I prefer real estate because I can be emotional when it comes to the stock market. I'm 43 and most of my money is in real estate. It's easier for me to stay there and work on cash flow versus building up $1 million portfolio in the stock market. Am I still going to invest in the stock market? Absolutely. Do I have 40 years to invest? No. Life happens and we adjust as we go. The outcome is similar, but the path can be very different. Thanks again for being here. Mahalo. Have a great day.